Howdy, y'all in good time zones. Welcome back to another episode of Humans of Twitch, a podcast showcasing the diverse backgrounds of individuals who have found enjoyment and community through online gaming. I'm your host, Environat, and today I am joined by a streamer friend named Happy Bear, who is near and dear to my heart, and I cannot wait to go deep with her and learn more about her point of view of what it is like to be a trans streamer on Twitch. We also discuss her upbringing in the Church of Latter-day Saints, as well as being a fellow history graduate student and balancing her graduate studies with streaming and watching Twitch, plus many other topics. So, if you like what is being played in your ear holes, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and like and subscribe on YouTube. All right, enjoy! All right, welcome. Happy, it's so good to see you. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Nat. Doing well. Things are just totally dandy. I mentioned I got a little bit rocked by my Undertale playthrough last night, and yeah, still kind of working through that.
It takes a while to process it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, things are good. Grad school is going well. What else am I doing right now? Yeah, streaming as a whole is going well. It's just, I don't know, it's nice to be in Oregon. I'm from Oregon, so doing grad school here right now is really nice.
Oh, that's amazing, yeah.
It feels good to be home.
Let's go, yeah. So, obviously I know you quite well, but can you give us a small introduction of yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Happy Bear, Twitch username HappyBearLives, because somebody is camping on the name Happy Bear.
Unacceptable.
On Twitch. I started streaming about 4 years ago, September of 2020, so middle of the pandemic. Just thought I want to try something new, see if this is fun, and I've just never stopped. I'm a grad school student studying history, getting my master's in history right now. Eventually want to go on and get my PhD and be a history professor. So now we definitely have similar educational tracks for sure, which is fun.
Yeah. What type of history do you do, by the way?
Yeah, so my research area is the American women's suffrage movement. From roughly the 1840s to the 1920s.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I'm just constantly amazed at these stories I'm finding of these powerful women who navigated some unimaginable bigotry and roadblocks to get what they wanted and to be able to participate in their country's civic life. That's tremendously exciting to study, and I think very pertinent to our current moment in the world.
For sure.
So yeah, I consider myself to be very blessed to be able to study what I am, and hopefully to be able to share those stories with generations of students to come.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Yeah, because I do Chinese environmental history, roughly 19th to early 20th century. But yeah, no, it's so cool to have met like a fellow history graduate student. I mean,
absolutely.
Who also loves video games.
I think that's part of the reason
and stuff. So yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why we get along so well is we have similar interests, similar likes. We're kind of in similar moments in our lives, and that feels good.
Feels good, man. So you mentioned that you've been streaming on Twitch for about 4 years. How long have you been like on Twitch, like watching?
Yeah, good question. Actually, only about a month longer.
Really? Wow.
So yeah, seriously. So I registered for Twitch. I first had learned about Twitch, I think from a couple of different places. So number one, Summoning Salt's videos. I started watching those in 2019, right as they were kind of hitting the stratosphere as far as popularity. I was part of that YouTube wave that got brought in. And then, I don't know if you know Peanut Butter Gamer.
I do not.
But yeah, he's kind of a legacy YouTuber. He started making content in 2009. I didn't discover him until 2017, but he's like a variety gamer, does a lot of Zelda stuff. He's actually one of the people who really helped popularize this Zelda month idea of November being Zelda month.
Interesting.
That was a huge thing on his channel. So he started streaming on Twitch, I think around the time that I discovered him, and so I was kind of learning what Twitch was, but it always seemed a little bit chaotic for me, a little bit too loud, a little bit too noisy. But finally, I started realizing, like, hey, this live streaming thing could be pretty cool. You know, heaven forbid I go on to Twitch and just play a lot of video games and hang out with cool people. But the journey was a little bit more complicated than that. So I registered in August. I think one of the first streamers I found was Arcus.
Okay. I haven't heard of them.
If you know who that is, he does a lot of like retro Nintendo content on his channel, and I discovered him through Summoning Salt actually.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's a huge Ninja Gaiden speedrunner, and I love the Ninja Gaiden video that Summoning Salt did. So Arcus was one of the ones I found, and then I started streaming about a month later. This might kind of connect to other questions you'll have later, but it took me about 6 months to get affiliate, and I really had to beat the bushes for followers, get connected to a ton of different communities, and that was kind of an arduous process for me. And then I lost pretty much all of my following when I took a month and a half hiatus when I moved from Iowa to Washington. So I almost had like a second affiliate period in late 2021 and early 2022. And then around mid 22, I started being able to build a greater following, and now we're almost at 1,000 followers. So it's been quite a journey. It's not been easy. But it's certainly been a worthwhile process that has connected me to so many friends and helps me to kind of maintain a good social life as I've moved all around the country for various reasons, and certainly throughout the pandemic and things. I'm very, very grateful for Twitch and everything it's done for me.
Yeah, I can also share similar feelings with that. So where does your username Happy Bear come from?
Good question. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, where did my name come from? So this idea of a happy bear has been kind of kicking around in my brain for a while. In fact, I think I first started thinking about it on my Mormon church mission. One of my missionary companions said something about like a happy bear. Sorry, I had to go through the thought process. So my missionaries are assigned to different areas. So I volunteered in New Mexico to do the Mormon thing. And that's where they sent me. I volunteered, but then you don't have a say in where you get sent. And so my first area that I was assigned to was Las Vegas, New Mexico. Okay. And this is a real place.
Yeah, sounds small.
There's not much going on there. Yep. They have a small university there. That's the only thing keeping that city
afloat.
I talked about one of the tiny, tiny little cities around there was a little city called Ojo Feliz, which means happy eye in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Well, my missionary companion at the time and I were joking around about sort of like rhyming different things with Ojo, and one of them was Oso, which is bear in Spanish. We joked about the name Happy Bear. I'm not sure that this was a direct influence on my name, but it certainly, I think, was in my subconscious. And then about a decade later, so this was 2019, right before the pandemic, my sister and I were planning to do a YouTube kind of Let's Play show together. Yeah. And the first one we wanted to do is Breath of the Wild. And we were coming up with different names for ourselves. And So she immediately knew. She loves shoe bills, which I don't know if you know what shoe bills
Yeah, yeah,
are.
yeah. I'm familiar with the bird.
Yeah, they're this absolutely like freaky looking bird that looks like a dinosaur.
Yeah, they're great.
But they're really cool. Um, anyway, so I was trying to think of different names, and at that time, so this was a couple months before I realized I was trans, and so I was still kind of trying to like do the whole like, oh, I'm a manly man, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, what's the manliest animal? Oh, bear, hell yeah. But then this Happy Bear name kind of like came out of my subconscious, and it was down to Happy Bear and Bearlock, kind of like a combination of Bear and Sherlock.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause I was like, I'm really smart, so
Yeah.
Bearlock.
Oh my gosh. I think you made the right choice with Happy
that-
Bear, because now you're just like,
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the name would have had to have changed if I had gone with Bearlock
yeah.
once I transitioned, but yeah, so that's kind of the etymology of Happy Bear, where it came from. I do think that the name was born in the New Mexico highlands
Shout out to
in
them.
the late aughts, but it was formally chosen in 2019.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I chose Environet, mostly because I was like, oh, I kind of want to do like environment content, like at least like pretty world building. Like I love Breath of the Wild, and I love the idea of exploring like environmental themes in video games. Obviously, my content has kind of just been a little more generic, not generic now, but like it's, I wouldn't say I'm pigeonholed into that, but then I realized, oh, environat, haha. Because I used to be natnat1016 before, because I joined Twitch in 2019, like September 2019, I think. But I just lurked for a good bit. I first watched Linkus and slowly spread out from there. And then it was finally in like March 2020 that I kind of started getting connected with like actually making friends online. Like I finally got Discord and was like understanding how that worked. And I would like, I guess I first found like communities that I knew I was like like a part of. And so yeah, no, and that's where I met Mimi and various other people who are good friends of mine today. But yeah, it is like, it's funny how we all have our different stories for doing it, but I didn't get the urge to stream until I guess maybe June 2020, because similar to you, I started streaming in August 2020. But I chose I kind of got inspired not because of Linkus or anything, but actually because of some IRL friends who just happened to kind of stream for fun. And so like we would just take turns hopping in each other's streams in different evenings, and it was just like, oh, this is kind of chill. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this. And I actually had made some online friends compared to them who just kind of were, they just hopped online where they were just like gamers and stuff, but they didn't really enjoy Twitch too much. So yeah. But
Gotcha.
anyway, I didn't mean to hijack things there. But
No, you're totally fine now. And honestly, I love this environmental theme that you started out with. Honestly, I would love to hear your thoughts, because you're doing a Super Mario Odyssey playthrough right now on your Twitch channel. I would love to hear, maybe once you're done with the game, just to hear your thoughts on it from a more environmental perspective. Are the game environments realistic, or how do you think this metropolis of New Donk City influences its surrounding area, or things like that? I've been tempted to do a city planning perspective on a few games, Mario Odyssey among them, because New Donk City is a very well planned city in my opinion. Former city planner here. I can nerd out about that stuff for hours.
I did not know that. That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of friends who did urban planning, or they were going into climate science with that sort of architectural background and stuff. And so,
sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's fun times. It's a little tough right now in the current political moment for sure, with everything being super polarized. but it's a cool field, and I don't regret going into it and working in it for the 6 years that I did. It was a great time.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm gonna circle back to Twitch. I mean, we both just kind of gave our origin stories for how we started watching and then streaming, but from your perspective, how did we connect on Twitch?
Well, it's funny that you ask that. So, I think I first encountered you in 2021. This was when you were a little bit smaller, a little bit newer of a streamer, and I think I watched for a couple streams, and I think for whatever reason I bounced off, and I was like, I don't know if I'm totally vibing with this person. You know how you do on
Yeah.
Twitch, just
Yeah.
like you watch for a little bit and you're like, I don't know. And then I think about a year later, in spring 2022 is when I remember. That's when I came in with a raid. I think you got raided by Beast or Orchrist or somebody like that, and suddenly I was like, wait, why didn't I get how cool this woman is? Because this lady's awesome, and for whatever reason, I just needed a few months to like process your coolness,
That
and
is
then
completely fine.
and then I dropped the follow, and I've been a loyal viewer ever since. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so funny to me. Like I've had this experience with multiple streamers.
Yeah.
Where I meet them, I encounter them, and it's like, oh, they seem cool, but I don't really want to follow at this time.
Yeah.
And then 6 months, a year, 2 months, or 2 years later, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, this person is super, super rad. So I'm very glad that I pushed that follow button.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I'm glad
yeah,
too, and likewise for your streams as well. Yeah, because I only remember, I think I was playing, what was it? Ocarina of Time is whenever I first kind of start remembering, like around, what is it, the Stone Temple? Is that the name of it? Or is it in game? Yeah, I do remember, I think that's whenever you first were like chatting very actively, perhaps. I'm not sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I remember you
the
from Beast.
exact. Yeah, for sure. And I'm wondering if that's where we kind of first started talking, because there was an inciting incident, and I think it was a raid, but I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
It's a little hazy.
No, it's just
and it's one
interesting
of those
how those
things,
things
it's like,
happen.
Yeah, I wish I would have written it down, but
No.
I don't write down every time I meet somebody.
No, yeah, precisely, yeah.
Just in case they become a lifelong friend. That sounds a little bit scrupulous, but yeah, it's been a little while now, and now I moderate for you, of course. When did that happen? That was 2022 still. I remember it happening fairly quickly. Like, it was definitely less than a year after I first started chatting.
I think so. Yeah, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
just
don't
kind
either.
of, yeah.
I don't either. At this point, it just kind of feels like I've always been helping out on your stream and shouting people out and threatening
Yeah.
to ban you in, and
Always, he needs it so much.
always.
Yeah.
Love you, Ian, if you're watching this.
Probably not, but maybe I can give him crap about it at least. So like speaking of like memories and such, why don't we go back a little bit earlier than that? What would you say is your first video game console you can remember, and any particular games that stand out?
Absolutely. So we're talking specifically consoles, right?
Or just I guess video games in general. So I put
Okay,
console,
gotcha.
but it can be a little more broader than that.
Sure. So honestly, my first video game memory is probably my mom playing solitaire on
Okay,
our
yeah.
Windows
Yeah.
3.1 PC 30 years ago. We also had a game called Jill of the Jungle
Oh, interesting.
on our PC. It was a very pixely, very for lack of a better word, bullshit platformer, kind of like that arcadey feel where it's just like so super hard that you just want to give up every moment.
Yeah, and and like have a guide with you at all times, and or to like Not the, what is it, with the NES stick, or like the on the Switch Online where you can like scroll back.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was this absolutely BS game, and it was so hard for 4 or 5 year old Happy Bear.
Hmm.
So I didn't really like connect with it. It's just kind of a thing to do.
Hmm.
But this is really when I mark what I'm about to say is when I mark my lifelong love affair with video games.
Hmm.
My mom and I are in Toys R Us to get some toy. I don't remember what it was. Lost to the sands of time.
Yeah.
Um, all of a sudden, I see one of those video game stations that they used to have in big box stores, and it's
Yeah.
2 Super Nintendo controllers, and Donkey Kong Country is up on the screen. And I'm like, what is this? So I grab
Yeah.
it and I start playing around on it. And like Donkey Kong's moving around and pounding the ground and rolling
Yeah.
and jumping on Kremlings. And I was like, oh my God. 5-year-old Happy Bear's mind was
Blown.
freaking blown. And it wore a deep groove into the neurons, into the path of neurons.
Hmm.
And from that point on, I loved video games. And I didn't end up owning my own system until Donkey Kong 64 and the N64. I know that game has problems, but it will always have a special place in my heart because of it being the first game I ever owned.
Hmm.
But we would rent a Super Nintendo and Donkey Kong Country from the local video store back when those things
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
existed. God, I am dating myself so much right now. Um, but yeah, we would rent
I
rent
had him
this
too.
whole
I had him too. So
we
yeah,
we
dating
rent this
myself as
whole
well.
last Super Nintendo with the controllers and 2 games, and it was like $10.
Yeah.
Just like
Glorious.
bonkers. Those were the days. Those were the days. Um, but yes, Donkey Kong Country, I consider that to be kind of the first game I ever really played and not just sort of interacted with. Um, that was the beginning of gaming for me, and I will always love that game. It's not quite as magical to me now that I've beat it a few times. 30 years later, it feels a little bit more. I have less patience for precision platformers
Yeah.
than I used to. But there is still a little spark of that childlike magic whenever I play the Donkey Kong games, and I love it.
Yeah, I love that feeling so much.
Yeah.
I feel that with Wind Waker a lot, even though I don't think that was my first game. I had a Game Boy Color. That's like my first thing I got at
Oh,
5 or 6. I think all the games were garbage. Like they're not ones that like they were probably just like the cheapest thing you could find at clearance aisle that my parents got me, which like I'm at least I had them, so and I got enjoyment out of them in a moment.
Uh-huh.
But like one was like a Disney World like racer like type of thing, like Mario Kart but Disney and on a pixelated Game Boy Color. It was not great. I kind of want to find it and like start playing it again just to see what it was like.
Was
But
that
yeah,
Mickey's Speedway USA?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, because I know that came out for the 64. I thought there was a Game Boy version as well, but I'm probably mixing the two up.
I'll look it up just to like see if it is, but I don't think it is. But like the name
Gotcha.
doesn't ring a bell to me. But
I
I could be
gotcha.
wrong. Yeah. How would you say your relationship with video games has changed over time? Having you mention like this lifelong love of video games.
Yeah, I mean it's been decades, right? It's been a while. So initially, I think gaming was a way for me to explore these really really cool new worlds to get invested into, and it was like playing with a toy, right? Only I didn't have to create the world myself.
Yeah.
Like I'd be playing with my Star Trek action figures or my micro machines or something like that, and I would create the story in my head, but with video games, I could step into somebody else's story, and that was extremely appealing for me. I still carry some of that idea of stepping into another person's story or vision with me, which is why I get so excited by games like Outer Wilds, for instance, which I recently completed on stream. Because that was stepping into a beautiful, gorgeous vision that the developers had. Um, but I do think it's changed a little bit. I think that games have become a little bit more escapist for me. I certainly play video games to kind of disengage my brain from all the worries of my adult life, and just to try to remain in touch with my inner child and to maintain this continuity of identity, so to speak. Video games help me to do that. I mean, we talk about the ship of Theseus, right? That, this idea that if you have this ship and gradually it breaks and needs repairing over time and it gets boards replaced and replaced and replaced, well, at some point you don't have any of the original boards. Is this still the ship of Theseus? And I think certainly that is something that can be applied to humans as well, as we have so many new experiences and our bodies change and grow and develop over time. How much of me is still that 5-year-old? And I think that going back and playing my favorite Nintendo games or playing new games that still give me that sense of wonder is a way to help me to remember not all the boards have been replaced. Many have.
Yeah.
Many have, but some haven't. And it's a way to maintain that continuity of identity. And I think as an adult, I can just appreciate more about the games and the artistry that goes into them. I wasn't thinking about the artistry or the effort that it took to make these games when I was a little girl. I was just in it to have fun, but now I can appreciate it more holistically.
Oh, that was a really beautiful answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how would you say, that we're about to get a little deep here, how would you say the responses from your online friends you've made have varied from your IRL ones when it came to you leaving the Church of Latter-day Saints and also coming out trans?
Yeah, sure. So when I was raised Mormon, many people know this. I'm not shy about talking about it. And, without wishing to cause offense to any religious people who may be listening or to any Mormon folks especially, I think for me as a queer woman, Mormonism was very damaging to me. And it was difficult to maintain my identity as a person when I was Mormon. So I've only left the church for the past couple of years. That I think it was right around the time I first started hanging out with your community. Now was when I left, and it's not a healthy community for queer folk. There are many Mormons who are trying to make it better, and I respect that. I honor that, but I think it still doesn't really. It's not there yet. It's not a safe place for LGBTQ people. As far as so I had two things that were happening at the same time. One, I had come out as trans, and then a few months later, I left the church.
Yeah.
Because Mormonism does not allow trans people to be out in any significant capacity without severe ecclesiastical punishments. And as far as my IRL friends, I didn't have a ton of IRL friends at this point, but I did talk to my unfortunately former best friend. We drifted apart over it. He was very, very clear that he was following the church's stance on gender and sexuality, and he knows the church is true, and so he couldn't support my decision. So of course we have not talked for probably a year and a half.
I'm so sorry.
It's tough. It's tough. It sucks. But you certainly.
But it's a way to It's a way to learn who your true friends are.
It is. It absolutely isn't. And certainly my family did not respond very well. Actually, my dad has responded pretty well. He's the only one that I still regularly talk to.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
and by regularly I mean we text once or twice a month, but the lines of communication are open.
Yeah.
Um, my my mom, her first words when I told her that I was trans were, "My son is dead." Um, and
That
she
is quite a
It
response
is
that
quite
you
a
will
response.
hold
It's
with you.
quite a response,
Yeah.
Nat.
Ooh.
And that I didn't really know it at the time, but it kind of broke our relationship.
Yeah.
Because her first reaction wasn't to love; it was to think of herself and how
Yeah.
this would affect her life and her imagined kind of
Negativity
perfect
too.
family that she always envisioned going to heaven, and where we're all going to heaven now, and things like that. And though
Hmm.
I tried to really carry her with me over the next 3 years, then um,
Yeah.
she just struggles um, to gender correctly and to name correctly, and it's very
Yeah.
we're no contact right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that will go back. I imagine it will at some point,
Hmm.
but um,
Not at this time. It's too
not
raw.
at this time. Not at this time. And my sister, for her part, said, "I support you. I love you, but I also support the church's teachings on gender and sexuality." So she was having a lot of cognitive dissonance and trying to kind of have it both
Yeah.
ways. And our relationship has also taken a big hit. We don't really talk that
Hmm.
much anymore. We're not no contact, but just not much to say.
Yeah.
Now, in
Hmm.
contrast to all of this, I had established when I came out, by the time I came out, I had established a pretty significant network of Twitch friends, and
Hmm.
they were uniformly supportive. Um, I know that Twitch has a bit of a reputation sometimes for
Hmm.
toxicity, but I've curated my Twitch streams pretty extensively,
Yep.
and so I knew that coming out, um, and sharing who I actually was, then that was going to be received positively by the great majority. I can't think of
Hmm.
a situation where any Twitch friends just were like, "This is wrong or bad."
Yeah.
Um, I'm not super open about being trans on Twitch right now.
Hmm.
I mean, I have Lahaj right here, so it's an open secret, but I don't
Yeah.
put transgender on my tags, and I think that's helped me to
Hmm.
avoid hate raids. Um,
Yeah.
but um, I mean, honestly, I've just met so many positive, affirming, joyful people, both straight and cis, and people who are part of the community,
Hmm.
and that feels really good. And I'm honestly very grateful for Twitch. And who knows how long it will last.
Yeah.
Amazon has a history of killing things that aren't making huge amounts of money for them. But I
Yeah.
will always be grateful to Twitch for helping me to find people who, when I came out, um, helped me to feel comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And you're one of them, Nat. You're one of them, and your
Oh,
community
thank you.
has been unfailingly positive and lovely and
Hmm.
affirming to me, and I'm very grateful.
No, yeah, that's just, yeah, that's my natural response is just to, you know, that's why I also love Twitch as well, just because I was able to find, I mean, mm, I will, I'll edit this bit. Um, that's what I love about Twitch too. For me, it helped me come to terms with my queer identity as well. I was comfortable with my aceness, but it was actually interacting with way more um, queer, whether pan, bi, whatever, mind you, and just making me feel like, oh no, I can embrace this, and it's complete, like I can be joyful about it. Um, and cool that I can meet fellow people like that in the community and such, and actually have that safe space that people like to try to create in person, but yeah, online spaces is a lot easier to, I don't know, what like curate it and find your people.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. It's difficult, I think, IRL um to create super queer affirming spaces, and I don't know why that is. I
Yeah.
need to think about that more. But even like a couple of years ago, when I was still living in Washington, then I found an online trans support group, and I wanted to be part of it, and maybe it was just the fact that it was like a Zoom call. Like I kind of struggle with like Zoom stuff. I mean, like you and me, this is fine, but like
Yeah.
for the support group thing, I think there's a lot to be said for like IRL contact. For that, the support group didn't really feel like that, but it didn't feel that affirming. It felt just kind of like everyone taking turns and like talking about how hard it was to be trans, which is fine,
Yeah.
and that's important for some people. But it's honestly been a lot easier to like, for instance, just feel like I'm in a safe space in your channel, than it is to feel like I'm in a safe space IRL. And I think that there's a reason for that separate from, politics or bigotry or anything like that. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but again, Twitch has been super, super helpful for creating these casually affirming communities. And maybe that's the secret, is that it's casually affirming. It's not...
Yeah.
We can all be
That
ourselves
is
together.
not what we talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not talking about our queer
Yeah.
identities all the time. It's just something that comes up organically. And that's the way I like it. I think that might be the secret sauce.
Yeah. The casualness and also like bonding over something that is like, I think kind of tying back to like the inner child like sort of thing that like you're trying to appeal to, as well as also a little bit of escapism as you get older. These are your people that you can escape to and feel like a warm, soupy type of vibe.
I like that.
And
yeah. People, you can, and you can also be alone together. Like, today while you're streaming, then I was reading some homework for tomorrow. But I could kind of like dip into chat for 5 minutes and then dip out to do homework for 10 or 15, dip back in. And it felt very, very warm and fuzzy for sure.
Yeah. No, I like that sort of I will do Pomodoro sessions where I'll be lurking in a chat and then be like, okay, let me read for 25 minutes and then 5 minutes I can chat. And then if I am struggling to get off chatting, I will tell them a mod to be like, hey, can you time me out for this much time? Thanks.
That's so funny.
So then I can actually finish my stuff.
I love that.
Because I have no control.
Same bestie, same.
Thank you, ADHD. But yeah, like, I guess related, how, I know you mentioned, like, that you don't use transgender as a tag, but how has your experience been streaming on Twitch, like, as trans?
Excuse me, I guess I'm allergic to questions about being trans, sorry. You can edit that out, that's fine. But, or no, you don't have to. That's a good question. I acknowledge I've been extremely fortunate. I've never been hate rated. And I did have the trans tag on my stream for about a year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was something that I felt a little bit more comfortable with. But honestly, like, I think the last transphobic thing that happened was, this was a year ago when I was doing Link's Awakening speedruns, but some rando,
Okay.
and this was when I had followers only chat, actually.
Oh, right, yeah.
Some rando just all of a sudden in my chat was like, you'll never be a woman. And I was like, what? So it was one of my followers that was following me, and I'm like, bro, why? You know, it was...
Why are you...
Yeah, it was so stupid. It was so incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
But nothing like that has happened since then.
Yeah.
I have always honestly felt pretty affirmed. People always gender correctly. Again, I've been fortunate to be able to have some gender affirming surgeries that help me to be more obviously feminine, and that I think has helped. Um, but yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but I just have had a very, very positive, good experience, and people are generally very respectful. Um, I don't think everyone knows that I'm trans when they follow me anymore, but in fact, there are some people I know who don't. Um,
Yeah.
but those who do have been unfailingly polite and respectful, and it's been very empowering for me as a trans woman and a queer woman to have this experience in my life. I honestly I
Hmm.
don't know what I would have done without Twitch and just kind of existing, in primarily offline spaces. I think my mental
Yeah.
health would be worse. I think that I
Hmm.
would feel lonelier, and yeah, it's been a huge positive thing.
Yeah, I would agree with my mental health and sense of, I guess, social relationships and such, would have definitely not be the same. Because I also have been moving around a good bit, so all of my IRL friends are scattered to the winds across the globe. It feels like, and it's been a bit of a struggle in the place I am now to make friendships that like to hang out or like to say go out to a bar or a restaurant or whatever, or even just study with people. Like my classmates have I was the only girl in my cohort of the East Asianists, and I got quickly ostracized uh, from group chats and such. And it was just like, oh, I wonder what that is. But also wasn't surprising, unfortunately. Like it's like it wasn't a shocking thing to me. And also at the same time, then it's like, okay, well, if that's their response, then I don't know how much I want to be hanging out with them anyway. So, oh well. But I am glad that I can at least be in my apartment and yet feel connected with people who may not be physically near me, but are at least emotionally near me.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So, related to grad schools and such, what do you tell your grad classmates about streaming and like Twitch
I
and such?
do. I do actually. Yeah, and
Really? Oh
actually,
my gosh,
one
yeah.
of my classmates from last semester actually followed me, and I think has been subscribed to me for a couple months now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's so
amazing. I have one classmate who's followed me and she's popped in once or twice,
cool.
but um I think she's more into Let's Plays on YouTube
Yeah, for
actually.
sure.
But so we'll talk about video games,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
we like different things.
Yeah, I will say most of my classmates are not into video games or Twitch or anything like
Yeah.
that. Especially sadly, a lot of my female and
Yeah.
non-binary femme
Hmm.
classmates are they just have other interests. They
Yeah.
they they're not into it, and that's fine. That's fine.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people are like, oh, cool, you broadcast, you're doing this thing, you're putting yourself out there, and several people have been like, I would never
Hmm.
do that, I could never do that, and I'm like, honestly, it's not that hard. I just have to sit here and be be silly for a few hours and play
Yeah.
games
Hmm.
and just try to be
And just hang
yeah,
out.
just try to be entertaining and fun and but certainly from the perspective of someone who hasn't done it before, yeah, it's hard, it's intimidating. I
Hmm.
get it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's helped me improve my like confidence when it comes to public speaking and
Same.
stuff. Just because I'm used to the idea of someone looking at me at different points and knowing when is go time type of thing. Yeah, I don't find it as I used to have pretty bad like not stage fright, although that is accurate too. But yeah, just giving presentations and such was pretty intimidating. But um, it seems to have gotten better, at least. Like, I'm not nearly as nervous, and I have some confidence knowing that I can stand up in there and be like, yeah, no, it's fine. Um, so what is it like balancing then your graduate work with Twitch? Because I'm also trying to strike this balance myself.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard because I stream 4 days a week. So between
Yeah, I don't know how you do it because I do 4 days a week now on my medical leave, but I did not do that whenever I was studying.
Yeah, for sure. I think something that's helped me is, as you know, we're doing study streams on my channel where
Yeah.
I will take 2.5 or 3 hours and just we'll have some chill music going and we'll hang out on stream together and I'll mute myself but we're typing in chat and I'll just do homework on stream for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So and then, we typically will do part of a casual game for a couple hours or something afterwards, just continue whatever casual game playthrough we're doing. But that, I think, has helped me to stay on balance because it's not for just full-on game streams. It's more like 3.5. And then I'm able to use that focus time. And it helps me, actually, to focus on my schoolwork because I'm not looking at anyone else's stream. I'm not distracted by anything else when I'm on camera. I'm just reading.
Yeah.
Extremely helpful.
Precisely.
So thank you, all of my viewers, my community out there who might be watching this. You are helping me to stay on top of my schoolwork. That's the only way that I can do 4 streams. If I didn't do the study streams, it would be 3 per week. But honestly, skimming has just been a huge skill to learn.
Yeah.
Like one of my
survive.
teachers assigns a book a week, and it's like unless I have super focus skills, which I do not because of ADHD, or unless I just had no life, I won't be able to do this unless I skim. So reading the first and last paragraphs of chapters is very helpful. And just kind of like taking a few seconds to look at all the pages in between. That's been a huge skill to learn. And also not being afraid to do a little homework on the weekends if you have to. That's the other thing. But you have to learn some survival skills in order to manage in grad school and have a life, streaming, hanging out with friends, reading, playing video games off stream, shopping, grocery shopping, all of these things that you want to do. And teachers understand, if an assignment has to be pushed back a few days just because you didn't get to it, many instructors are super chill. Yeah. So.
Yeah, at this point, like they recognize that we're adults and like obviously we got here for some, like we definitely have the chops to do it. But also have a lot going on as adults and making the pennies that we make.
Yeah.
But the skimming thing is also something that, that's like, I believe universally for history students is like how you survive, especially where you pay attention to intro and conclusion and then, the first and last paragraphs. I sometimes will try to be adventurous and try to read it, but it's just too, usually it's just a quick scan of pages and such.
I empathize with what you said about pennies, by the way. I'll take this opportunity to show my Ko-Fi and my Throne wish list and all those good things. Send to me, please.
Yeah. They'll be listed below.
Yeah, all the links. Yes, please.
Yeah. Likewise here. Do you plan on doing it as long as you can? I mean, like trying to balance the two.
I do. I've told myself that I will reevaluate after year 1 of PhD, and if it feels like my work is suffering a little bit, obviously my PhD has to come first. This is laying the foundation for the second half of my working life, and I plan to have 25 to 30 good years of teaching in me once I graduate. And and I need that to come first if I'm going to be as successful as a teacher, as a researcher, just as a professor, as an academic all around. And if it looks like we're balancing okay, if I'm managing to keep my head above water, then I will continue and it will be okay. I do have in mind sort of a natural, supposedly Quentin Tarantino has his cutoff of like he will only make 10 movies and then he'll retire.
Yeah.
I wonder if by age 40, I'm 35 now. I wonder if by age 40, if I'll kind of naturally be in a different place, where I want to move on to different things. And just try new things. Once I graduate with my PhD around that time, then it may be that I will want to move on, or it may be that I'll be Professor Happy Bear at that point, and that will kind of be a new lease on my streaming life. Who knows what the streaming landscape will look like in 2030?
Right. Yeah.
Again, who knows if Twitch is even going to be around in 5 or 6 years? Well, I'll be on Kick, and. Yeah, no thanks. I will stop streaming before I go on to Kick.
Hopefully not. Yeah, I'd be on YouTube.
Same. I would just stream on YouTube.
I mean, because I don't think YouTube will go anywhere, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's I kind of have these natural check-in points in the next few years where I'll be like, Happy Bear, how is this going for you? Are you still enjoying it? Is your community stable or growing? I think the other thing that would cause me to probably stop streaming is if my viewership collapsed for some reason and we went from like averaging 10, 15 viewers per stream to like 1 or 2. At that point I'd be like, okay, for whatever reason, what I'm doing just isn't working for people anymore. I think it's time to focus on other things. So...
yeah. No, I relate to that with the checking in points. Yeah, for me, I enjoy having the streaming because it's like a nice break from everything else that's going on. And for me, I'm very much like wanting that balance compared to a lot of my classmates who seem to have the like pedal to the metal at all times, which certainly like maybe their work might be better at this moment because they're spending all this time, but they're also getting burnt out super quickly because they're sprinting in a marathon as opposed to taking a pace that is manageable for long term. Because I'm definitely recovering from a lot of burnout that I've had from my other academic sort of career, and it's been a lot to recover from. But I am very grateful to have 2 to 3 streams that I would do as like a break, even if it was for just 2 or 3 hours. But it just means it would be the time that I would want to be playing a game anyway to take my mind off of things, and then I get to hang out with friends anyway. So it's kind of just like a 2-for-1 type of thing. And yeah. What would you say is a highlight of your content creation career so far?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 answers. Some of the viewers, but maybe not a lot, may know that I also have a small YouTube channel, actually, where I do Summoning Salt style speedrun history documentaries. I'm in the middle of kind of my magnum opus right now, which is a history of Twilight Princess speedrunning.
Oh.
So
so
hopefully
cool.
that will be coming out in the spring. I have been very blessed, actually. So there was a speedrunner named Hornlets who created a whole huge script for Twilight Princess video, but never actually was able to get that off the ground. And so she's been generous enough to share that with me. My script is very different. We're focusing on a lot of different things, but it's been helpful for fact checking. Anyway, this is a bit of a tangent. Yeah. But the very first YouTube video that I ever did, my very first speedrun YouTube video, I should say, was about the legendary speedrunner Darbian. I don't know if you've ever heard of Darbian.
Okay. Nope, I have
Darbian got the
not.
first ever 4-minute 56-second time in Super Mario Brothers history. Absolute
Oh.
legend of speedrunning. Has speedrun like 50 games. Super prolific guy. Has
Wow.
held world records in
Yeah.
multiple games, including Cool Spot, the 7-Up licensed game that came out for Genesis and Super Nintendo 30 years ago. But
That's so
I did a
funny.
video on Darbian, and it's up to like almost 30,000 views right now. So it's
That's
certainly
awesome.
nothing
Yeah.
super viral, but this is a video that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people have commented on favorably and have loved and enjoyed, and I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Twitch goes, honestly, my um, we've had a couple of different variety playthroughs of games that I'm very proud of. Earthbound actually was about 8 months after I started streaming. And this was only a couple months after I got affiliate, and it rocked. It rocked. And that was my favorite playthrough I'd ever done on my channel until Outer Wilds last month.
Really?
Outer
Oh,
Wilds,
okay.
there
Okay.
was some magic in that playthrough, and it took me a while
Interesting.
to figure everything out. But now I'm excited for you to play that game because it is awesome.
Yeah.
God, I wish you would push that right to the head of the pile. But I know you have to get through a lot of other games first. But I'm very much looking forward to you playing that.
What's funny is Outer Wilds is also on the list too, so I think it's kind of close to Earthbound
Gotcha,
at this
gotcha.
point. So that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, for those who are wondering what Happy's referring to, I do chat redeemed games. Where aside from my Zelda first playthroughs, I also do chat will pick a game for me to play, and usually it's very much like a game that is close to someone's heart that they want me to experience that. And so yeah, among those is Earthbound, which has redeemed for me to play. And yes, it's a little bit down the list, but I am working through my list right now. I don't have any speedrunning things happening at this time. So I get to just do my first playthroughs, which I do enjoy a lot. I do like speedrunning too, but it yeah, it's hard to balance those two of speedrunning and
We're
my first
we're both
playthroughs
kind of on indefinite
as much as I
hiatuses
love it.
from speedruns, and it's hard to find the time and motivation to speedrun during grad school. I do believe. I do believe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, unless you
Exactly.
only speedrun, and even then it's just like, yeah, but that's not the focus of my stuff. I get too anxious around just only speedrunning one thing or like playing one thing just over and over again. Like, yeah, it's too it's not as
Same.
relaxing as other things to stream. So, as we're wrapping up here, what is something video game or otherwise that currently has you pog champing, has you pause champing, and something that you're pretty resonant sleeper about?
Yeah, let me go in reverse order with those. So Resident
Okay.
Sleeper, this game Kill the Justice League comes out pretty soon. It's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Okay.
And it's like one of these stupid live service games. It's really apparently poorly put together. Review codes don't go out to reviewers until it releases, which tells you that it's a pretty badly put
Yeah.
together game. I'm just so sick of these live service games that have battle passes and seasons and things like that. I mean, it's one thing to have some DLC, like that's a feature of the ecosystem, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't personally love it, but that's fine. But this whole thing of like release a game that's half broken, this early access trend where you just put out a bad game on Steam and then you get the players to like fix it for you
Yeah.
essentially. I don't like that. So Suicide Squad is one that I'm certainly not intending to play. And I'm sick of that trend. Pause champing. I will be doing a Kirby Week fundraiser in a few weeks because I am
Ooh.
raising money for some gender affirming surgeries later this year. And so as part of that, we're going to have an incentive, the Outer Wilds DLC. Speaking of DLC, um, and
Yeah.
I loved Outer Wilds so much, I cannot wait to go back. I cannot wait to go back into this world. So I'm
Yeah.
pause champing so hard I can't stop thinking about it. I'm very, very excited.
Hmm.
Pog champing right now. I not
Not
Undertale,
Undertale.
no. I respect Undertale. I don't love Undertale. I don't think I'll love Undertale
Hmm.
even after I do the pacifist route. Um, I well, let me say this, and this kind of segues into what I think your next question might be, based on the list of questions that you have sent me. Um, I
Hmm.
am commissioning some new emotes from an emote artist. Should
Oh.
have 8 new
Hmm.
ones. I will not share them
Wow.
all, but I will share a couple. Um,
Hmm.
so one of my mods, Cataclysms, has come up with the spoiler sack and the backseat bag. So if people try to spoil, they get put in the spoiler sack.
Oh.
If people try to backseat, they get put in the backseat bag. So we are doing spoiler
Yeah.
sack and backseat bag emotes. Um, and then we're also doing a good luck emote that's going to be HappyBearLives. And it's going to be Hat Kid, my
Hmm.
avatar, chugging a bottle of water. Um, so it's like kind of the gulp gulp gulp
Nice.
sound, but
Yeah.
then it's also good luck because the water bottle has a 4-leaf clover on it. So it'll be that wordplay that I'm so fond of. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that these emotes are going to be very fun, very cute. I'm proud of my emotes. I think they're fun, and my emote artist, I will shout her out. Sergeant Mug
Yeah.
is incredible. I love Mug so much. If any of you
Hmm.
need emotes or any kind of like backdrop for your stream or anything, Mug is your human.
Yeah, shout outs to them. Yeah, I'll also mention my emote artist just so because I also adore mine, who is not Mug, Angel Rose Star. Makes my
I've
little
seen Angel
belugas.
Rostar's work. I think Joshi
And yeah,
has commissioned Angel for some
many
emotes,
of
and yeah, Angel
yeah.
does great work too. I would have no hesitation going to Angel
Hmm.
if, for whatever reason, Mug didn't want to do emotes anymore. So
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Basically, once you find your emote artist, I feel like it's like I know some people like Joshi will like commission from a wide range of people, which is really cool. I kind of just pick one and like I want to keep it consistent from there. Although I do commission other people for different aspects of my stream stuff, like Vivianite. She made my
oh, cute.
subscriber badges, and they did a great job with that. Yeah. Yeah, and also a variety pack made to music. Um, yeah, and some other people have like made some past PFPs or profile pictures for me. Um, some cute little artwork and stuff. But yeah, so here and there. But yeah, emote artists, yeah, we love you. I'm actually getting 3 new belugas commissioned too. Speaking of that, so I don't know what's in our water here, but yeah, that commissioning the emotes. But here we are. Well, happy as we wrap up. Where can
Where
people
can
find
people
you?
find me? So I have my YouTube channel. So if you just type in Happy Bear Speedrun on YouTube, you should be able to find it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of Happy Bear content that's not me on YouTube. Mainly a lot of like childish dancing bears with primary colors. And then you can find me exactly.
Easy to confuse.
You can find me on Twitch. My username is HappyBearLives. And yeah,
Hmm.
Twitch and YouTube are really my only social media. I do have Reddit, but in keeping with the
Yeah.
Reddit ethos, you'll never find out my Reddit username. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. I would love it if you followed or subscribed on YouTube, followed on Twitch or subscribed on YouTube. We're making a lot of new friends. We're on the hunt for 1,000 subscribers right now on my Twitch channel. And yeah, it's just a super cozy little place. That is a very safe,
It do be.
warm, fuzzy, blobby space. All those words you're using earlier, Nat. I like to think we have those on my channel. So,
yeah, well, also a little sarcasm and, you know, like, yeah, it's a nice blend, I would say, of the warm and fuzzies, but also like, yeah, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of, I don't know, like
yeah.
recognizing that we're adults and stuff without it being like adult.
I would not call my channel
how to
family
describe
friendly,
that,
but
yeah.
I would also not say it's like super 18 plus. We're fairly
Yeah.
PG-13, with the occasional slide into just all out lunacy and inappropriateness. But yeah, we love having. Yeah,
Within TOS.
occasionally a little bit TOS. Nat has
And,
experienced
yeah.
this on my channel. Portal 2 will forever remain in our minds and hearts. But
Yep. Forever.
yeah, it's we would love to have new people. But yeah, Nat, thanks for having me on today. It's always a pleasure to talk with one of my besties, and
Yeah.
I've never been on a podcast before, so thank you.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much for wanting to join me on this. I mean, I've learned so much more about you, and also I do adore just having any opportunity to talk with you, so I'm glad I could take advantage and make you chat with me. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, thank you so much. Now, wasn't that a great chat? I love Happy so much, and I hope you also love her. And be sure to check her out in all the socials listed below. If you want to check me out, feel free also. That's all below. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely week. And I know we took a couple weeks a little off there between posting. I moved, as you can see from this new layout if you're seeing us on YouTube. And I also was experiencing some illness stuff. But we'll be back. I'll see you next Thursday for the podcast release and perhaps next Friday for the YouTube release. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, that's all. Bye!